Have you ever struggled to describe a place in English? Maybe when talking about your hometown, a famous landmark, or even giving directions, but your words just didn't seem to capture the full picture. Trust me, I've been there too. I remember facing the same problem. Once, my friends and I were planning a picnic, and I suggested my hometown. They asked me, "What's it like? What can we see there?" I confidently started, "It's, beautiful, and, big." Their polite smiles and nods told me they weren't really convinced. It felt like they were pretending to be excited just to be nice. A similar thing happened when I was giving directions to someone. I said, "Go straight, then turn, there's a big building, and then, it's near the shop." I could see the confusion on their face. That's when I realized my descriptions weren't helping at all. I knew the place well, but I just didn't know how to explain it properly. So, with the aim to improve, I did some research and paid attention to how others described places. Over time, I picked up a few simple techniques that made a big difference in how I described places, making my descriptions clearer, more engaging, and easier for people to visualize. And that's exactly what I'll share with you today, step by step, so you can confidently describe any place in a simple and natural way. Let's get started. So, one of the first things I realized I needed to do was expand my vocabulary. Instead of relying on basic words like nice, big, or beautiful, I learned to describe the size, shape, and purpose of a place in a more specific way. When I started doing this, it made my descriptions much clearer and more interesting. For example, if I'm talking about a cafe with a warm, welcoming atmosphere, I wouldn't just say, "It's a nice cafe." I'd describe it as a cozy cafe. This paints a clearer picture of what to expect. Similarly, if I'm talking about a park that has a lot of open space, rather than saying, "It's a big park," I'd say, "It's a spacious park," which better conveys the feeling of having plenty of room to walk around. And when describing a market that gets crowded in the evening, instead of saying, "It's too small to walk," I'd say, "It gets crowded by evening," which describes the atmosphere much more accurately. The key here is to focus on what makes a place stand out. Is it busy, calm, spacious, or crowded? By using specific words, you can move beyond the obvious and add more meaning to your descriptions. These changes helped me create a richer, more vivid image in the listener's mind, and made my descriptions much clearer and more engaging. Once I started expanding my vocabulary, the next thing I focused on was using prepositions correctly. Prepositions like next to, behind, in front of, and across from are really helpful because they allow you to describe exactly where something is when giving directions. For example, I used to say, "The cafe is near the park." But that doesn't really explain where the cafe is. So, I learned to use more specific prepositions. Instead of saying, "Near the park," I could say, "The cafe is right across from the park, next to the coffee shop." This gives a much clearer picture of the location. Now, Let's understand when and how you can use these prepositions. First, we have next to. This means something is very close to something else. For example, the cafe is next to the park. This tells us that the cafe is right beside the park. Next, we use across from. This means something is on the opposite side of something else. For example, the supermarket is across from the bus stop. This means the supermarket is directly on the other side of the bus stop. Then, there's in front of. This means something is facing you or at the front. For example, the bank is in front of the library. This tells you the bank is located right across from the library, facing it. After that, we have behind. This means something is at the back of something else. For example, the parking lot is behind the restaurant. This means the parking lot is located at the back of the restaurant. Finally, there's right next to. This means something is very close, usually touching. For example, the school is right next to the playground. This shows that the school is very close to the playground, probably even touching it. By using these prepositions, you can explain exactly where something is, and it makes it much easier for the listener to understand the location. As I practiced describing places, I found it helpful to think of descriptions in layers. This means starting with a broad overview of the place and then adding more specific details one by one. It's like painting a big picture first and then zooming in on the smaller details that make it clearer and more interesting. For example, when describing a street, I would begin with a general statement like, the street was long and wide. This gives a basic idea of the street's size. Next, I would add more specific details, such as, there were tall buildings on both sides, with shops at the bottom. This helps the listener picture the street more clearly. Finally, I would zoom in even further, saying something like, on the left, there was a small bakery, with a big glass window showing fresh bread. This adds a focused detail about a specific shop, making the scene even clearer. By breaking the description into layers, I help the listener build a mental picture step by step. First, they understand the general idea, then get more detailed information, and finally, they can imagine the place vividly with all the small details. This method makes my descriptions feel more real, helping the listener picture the place just as I see it. But soon I realized, it wasn't just about the physical aspects of a place. I learned that describing how a place made me feel was just as important. For example, when recommending a place, let's say a beach to visit, I could say, it's a quiet beach, and that would be fine. However, by adding how I feel about the place, it becomes much more meaningful. Instead of just saying, it's a quiet beach, I could say, the beach felt calming and peaceful, and the gentle sound of the waves helped me forget all my worries. Both sentences are correct, but adding how I feel about the place helps create a stronger connection. That's because a place isn't just its appearance, it's the emotions it evokes. By adding personal touches, I made my descriptions more engaging and relatable, allowing the listener to connect with the place on a deeper level. Of course, I didn't master these techniques overnight. It took time and practice. I started by describing places I'd been to, whether it was my neighborhood, a vacation spot, or even a park I walked through. I also paid attention to how others described places, whether in movies, podcasts, or books. The more I heard people use vivid language, the more I improved my own descriptions. It became a habit, and eventually, I could describe places with confidence and clarity. Now, when I talk about a place, whether it's my hometown or a new spot I've discovered, I feel much more confident in my ability to bring it to life with words. The key, I've learned, is to focus on the details. What does the place look like? What's the atmosphere, and how does it make you feel? By using precise vocabulary, prepositions, and layering your descriptions, you can help your listener imagine the place. And remember, don't be afraid to add personal touches, they make all the difference. So, if you're learning to describe places in English, practice is your best friend. Keep exploring new vocabulary, use your imagination, and soon, you'll be able to paint vivid pictures with your words.